Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Please let me know if you guys can hear me. I'm so sorry for being late. There was a technical mix-up here. So do let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. I've had to restart my computer and everything. So hopefully we can get this stream going. I know I'm supposed to start about 20 minutes earlier, but I'm sorry for those of you guys who um came early and had to wait for a little bit. Alright, so please let me know down in the chat, right? If you can hear me, and also, yeah, if I'm all smooth, basically. Thank you guys for coming down, right? Please let me know if you guys can hear me. If you guys tuned in to the Game Week 31 deadline stream as well, you know that I've been plagued by connection issues and technical difficulties. All right. Thank you guys for letting me know. Thank you guys for coming down. All right, let's get this stream started. Oh my days, where do we begin? All right, well, let's start with the big question. How many of you guys are free hitting? If you are free hitting, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you are free hitting. In fact, let's put a poll. Let's do a poll and take a look at how many people are free hitting. All right. Alright, so I've just put up a poll. Alright, are you free hitting in game week 32? Let's take a look and see how many people are free hitting. And then we can tailor the stream, I guess, to yes, Ashmit, we are back. We are back, man. Thank you all of you guys for letting me know that you can hear me. Joha, AJ, Arya as well, member in the chat. Davies family as well. Alright. Let's get started. Right. So basically this is my team here. This is currently where I'm at, but I think I am going to make a couple of changes. I think I'm gonna make a couple of changes, and I think you guys should be aware, right, if you watch the team selection video, right, of the couple of positions that I'm still unsure of. So it's the third defender slot, who is currently Joachim Anderson, and it's also Ivan Toney, right? So there's a couple of changes that I still am going to make, right? So this is definitely not my confirmed team, right? In fact, I think Moreno is going to come in for me for Anderson, and I'm also going to swap Toney to Isak, right? That's currently what I'm thinking. All right, let's see how many of you guys. 77% of you guys are on a free hit. Right. Okay, so let me quickly go through. Oh, by the way, guys, if I lag at any point in time, because my connection isn't that great at the moment, if I lag at any point in time, please just type lag in the chat and I'll know that I'm lagging. Right. So okay, let me go through the picks one by one, right, and basically let you guys know who is locked in my team for game week 32, because I'm free hitting. I'll let you guys know who is locked in, and I'll let you guys know the positions that I may change, right, or I'm likely to change. So Johnstone and Everson, both of them, I mean, the substitute keeper doesn't really matter. Goeta, there were some rumors that he's pictured in training, but based on the latest quotes from Roy Hodgson, Johnstone is still the first team keeper, right? So Johnstone is still going to be my first choice keeper, right? And then in defense, so Johnstone is locked in goal. In defense, there's Trippier and Trent Alexander-Arnold. These two are locked as well, right? So that's already 3 players locked. In the midfield, Salah, Martinelli, and Saka are all locked, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 players so far. Up front, Ollie Watkins is locked, right? So that is 7 players in total, right? So all the other players, right, Gakpo, Moreno, Jesus, and Ivan Toney, I think you could make a case for any of them to be replaced by, like, Gakpo you could replace with Robertson. Jesus you could replace with Odegaard in the midfield if you wanted to go with Odegaard, if you're concerned about Jesus minutes, right? And then there's also Ivan Toney who can be replaced by Isak, which is what I'm planning to do, right? So at this point in time, I guess you could say I am 70% likely to make this combination of moves, right? So let me show you guys. So the plan for now, right, is to do Toney to Isak, which I think will be a very spicy differential. I mean, let me know what you guys think about Isak, because at the start of the week I wasn't too keen about Isak, but the way I look at it now, it just seems as if Newcastle at home against Spurs. I mean, the way Spurs are defending, I really can't see them keeping a clean sheet. And then if Newcastle score, which I think they could score a goal or two, you would say that Isak is probably going to be involved, right? So the only concern there would be his minutes, but then again, if I take a look at his minutes for the past few games, right, he has been in very decent form, right? That's for sure. And the only game that he didn't start was the West Ham game, which is the double game week fixture in game week 29. So for that one, the turnaround was really tight. So I mean, having Isak rested, I guess you could say it was a little bit of a precaution. But aside from that, I think he's pretty secure for minutes. I mean, in terms of attacking returns, he's one of the more consistent ones for Newcastle at this point in time, right? And also Saint-Maximin being injured definitely helps Isak's minutes, because Isak is someone that could also play on the left, right? Eddie Howe did allude to the fact that they could always play Isak and Callum Wilson, which we did see a little bit of it against Aston Villa as well. And I think they did okay, right? Even though they didn't score, I think the way that they were playing, I think it was pretty alright as well. So for now, the plan is to do, I haven't done it yet, but I probably will confirm it on the stream. The plan is to do Toney to Isak and then start the front three. In the midfield, I'll go for the double Arsenal, double Liverpool midfield of 4 players. And then in the back line, we're going to go with Trent, Trippier, and then Moreno for now. So basically what I'm doing is the shift from my original team to this team that I'm doing right now is basically I'm just betting against Ivan Toney, right? Because I'm going to start Moreno. So I'm counting on Ivan Toney not doing anything. I'm counting on him being quiet. And I'm also counting on Isak doing well against Spurs, which I think could really be the case, right? So this is where I'm at this point in time. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Trevor says, do you think Nunes starts tomorrow? I think it's pretty close, because the way I see it is Diaz is not going to start, right? I don't think he's fit to start a game. On top of that, Firmino is also injured. So that kind of narrows it down to Gakpo, Jota, Salah, and also Nunes, right? So there's every chance that we could see Nunes feature, but I think based on the latest quotes that Klopp has said, right? Based on Klopp's latest quotes, I do think like he's going to continue starting Jota, Salah, and Gakpo, right? So I think Nunes still comes on as a sub, similar to what we saw against Leeds, and the fact that Firmino is injured, right? He's going to be injured for the next 3 games at least, according to Klopp. So the fact that he's injured and Gakpo is the natural replacement for him. I mean, Gakpo is first choice to Firmino now. I think we can agree on that. So if Gakpo is first choice and his backup Firmino is not even fit, I think Gakpo's X minutes goes up, right? So I think the way I see it is Gakpo, Salah, and Jota, right? Simply because I think Jota plays that left role a little bit better than Darwin Núñez. But I think there's every chance that we see either one of Núñez or Jota fill in that left spot. Because the way I see it, Salah and Gakpo are probably the ones with the most X minutes. Ashmit says, would you go with Son and Jesus or Kane and Saka? I would still go with the penalty taker. So both Kane and Saka are penalty takers, and For those of you guys who are wondering whether Saka is still on penalties, yes, Saka is still on penalties. Arteta has already confirmed that. Trevor says Isak is a future transfer of mine. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm bringing in Isak this game week simply because he plays Spurs, right? I mean, the way I see it, Newcastle at home against Spurs, who have looked so poor defensively, I really can't see Spurs keeping a clean sheet here. And I mean, it's gonna be a cagey game. It's gonna be a cagey game. They're both vying for Champions League, right? And Newcastle at home, I just think like Kane would probably be snuffed out a little bit. Even if he gets a return, maybe an assist, maybe a goal, I don't think he hauls there. So that's the reason for going against Kane. And then obviously, I think Newcastle get a couple of goals as well. Ashmit says, I have Isak in my team. Spurs do concede quite a couple of goals easily, yeah, 100%. Davies still out for Spurs. I think they'll ship a few goals. Good for Isak, right? The only concern I would say is his minutes, to be honest. Yeah, the only concern for me is Isak's minutes. AJ says Solanke instead of Isak. Right, so Solanke obviously hauled against Spurs last week, right? But I mean, I'll be honest, I think Bournemouth are looking pretty good. I think Bournemouth are pretty good now. But the thing is, West Ham are also conceding, right? That's the thing. Like, their defensive numbers are all right, but they just happen to ship a couple of goals. And obviously against Newcastle, they conceded 5. Last week against Arsenal, they conceded 2. Midweek that just passed yesterday, they conceded 1 against Ghent. So the way I see it is there will be a couple of goals, right? And obviously you would think that Solanke would be involved if Bournemouth scores. Solanke is on penalties as well. So, I mean, the way I see it, I do think like we are getting carried away a little bit with Solanke. That's my honest opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like him getting that haul against Tottenham, definitely unexpected, but I think we're getting a little bit carried away with it. And West Ham, I know they're conceding a couple of goals there. I'm not sure whether it's Zuma in my team that kind of makes me feel like I think they will do well after that 2-2 draw against Arsenal. But I do think like their confidence is coming back up, and they are also in the relegation battle. Right, so I still feel like West Ham will do their best to defend well. Right, and Bournemouth, as I've said, right, I think maybe they get a goal or two. And you would imagine Solanke is there. So if I'm honest, I think Solanke and Isak don't really have much between them. Right? I think we're debating these 50-50s now, but I think if we are debating, let's say, a different kind of 50-50, let's say Robertson and Gakpo, I think the difference is slightly greater there as compared to Isak and Solanke. I think at the end of the day, the points may not differ that much. Brandon says, you heard Nagelsmann pulled out of the Chelsea manager race. I'm feeling sick. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it hasn't been good for us Chelsea fans, if I'm honest. Dude, I'm not sure how many of you guys watched the Champions League game for Chelsea against Real Madrid, of course. But we had so many chances. I mean, Kante as well. He had so many chances. I think 3 clear chances for N'Golo Kante, and I mean, he's not the 1v1 on the end of chances, but if he put it away, maybe a little bit of bias, but I think we could have gotten something there. I'm not saying that we'll qualify in the end, but I think maybe you get a goal or two, it changes the game a little bit. Jun Xiang says, if I'm not free hitting and I already have Haaland and Kane, is it worth swapping one of Saka or Grealish to Salah? The way I see it, Salah is definitely a captain option this week. So if you're bringing Salah in, right, whether it's for a hit to captain him, I would do it. FPL Jelly says, afternoon, Leon, good afternoon. If Mr. Blanky says, hey mate, should I sell Haaland for Salah? So I'm assuming you are not on a free hit. If you're not on a free hit, I think you need to make sure that you get the key players for game week 32, right? Because these are also players you can keep for the long run, especially the Liverpool guys. So as if it's Salah, I think you take a hit elsewhere to bring Salah in because you can just keep him long term, right? And also I wouldn't sell Haaland, because it's just a transfer waiting to happen after that if you sell Haaland in game week 32 and then you want him back later on. Paul says, what do you think of Wilson? I do think like Wilson starts, if I'm honest. I think the front three for Newcastle will probably be Almiron, Isak, and Wilson. If I'm to predict, if I'm to predict. Bruno over Gakpo, Kepa over Johnstone, Howard over Watkins, Isak for -4, or only do the first two for free and play non-2. No free hit 32 will wildcard in 33 and bench boost 34. Well, the wildcard 33 gang, I have to say in this season, right, is pretty, how should I put it? I would have expected more people to be on this strategy. I would have expected more people to be wildcarding in 33 and then bench boosting in 34. But obviously the way the fixtures panned out, a lot of us shifted to a wildcard 26 or 27 instead. So it's interesting to see for those of you guys in a wildcard 33, bench boost 34 situation, how your teams look, right? So yeah, I mean, as I'd imagine, you'd have Bruno, Kepa, Havertz. I think you need to get the general advice I have for you, Davies, is to basically make sure that you cover the main assets in a free hit team this week, because some of them you would be able to keep long term as well, right? Players like Eze, I think is fine to keep all the way till the end of the season because he's so cheap. Palace looking pretty alright as well. If there's a straight swap for Eze, you can just do that. Salah as well is someone you want to keep long term. And yeah, that's basically my what I think. Isak, Solanke, or Jota. It's actually in that order, Omar. I would prefer Isak, Solanke, and Jota in that order. FPL Jelly says, looks like we're on a very similar squads. Will you start Eze or Isak? I'm on Eze at the moment. That's the thing, right? I think there's a couple of drafts that I've seen who have started Eze ahead of that third forward, right? So whether it be Isak, whether it be Solanke, whether it be Tony, I've seen a couple of squads where you just start the 5 midfielders that I have here on the screen, and then Jesus and Watkins up front. You're pretty happy with that, and then you pick your 3 defenders. I think that's an okay strategy as well. 3-5-2. It's basically a straight shootout between who you think does better, Eze or Isak or Tony or Solanke, right? William says, is it a risk to play Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus? 2 is enough. Well, Arsenal are actually top of the odds this week to score more than 2 goals. If I'm not tripled up on them in attack, I would probably double up on them and then go for 1 defender. But then again, they've been shipping a couple of goals here and there, right? So I can't say for sure that I really like them as I can't say for sure that I like defensive assets from Arsenal at this point. So I guess the next best thing to do is then get all the 3 attackers, right? So that you don't have to choose between any of them, and if any of them haul, I mean, ideally they would assist each other and get goals, and then if any of them hauls, you probably will get in on the returns. So the way I see it, I think I would still go for the 3 attackers. I've seen a couple of drafts that have been quite interesting. So basically what some people have done is they've dropped either Jesus or Saka. Right? I personally wouldn't drop Saka, but I've seen some people drop Jesus, and then they get Gabriel in defense as their 3rd defensive spot. And then for that slot that Jesus just freed up, they go for maybe Tony, Solanke. There's so many good forward options this week, right? Watkins, Isak, Tony, Solanke. They go for any 3 of these 4 players that I just said, right? So that's the good thing about what you just mentioned, William, which is to start two attackers from Arsenal. But the way I see it, I think I will still go Jesus. Chances of Jesus starting, I think there's a couple of rumors going around, right? There's a couple of rumors going around that are saying that basically this quote from Arteta as well that was saying, let me look for the quote. Basically what he was saying regarding Jesus's minutes was that they were managing him and they didn't want to reach a point where they kind of risk his injury as well. Let me look for the quote. Smith Rowe, Jesus, right, this is the one. Right, let me move over to Twitter for a little bit and show you guys the quote. So basically this is what Arteta said in the press conference, right? So Mikel Arteta on Gabriel Jesus, if he's ready for 90 minutes, we will see, right? We've been really careful and there have been some issues within that period when he was in the final stages of rehab, and we have to be really attentive, right? So he goes on to also say that we have a couple of players as well that can change the game and they're fully fit and they probably deserve to play. You would think that this player is Trossard, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious who he's referring to. And yeah, he says we have to be mindful of that, right? So in terms of Jesus's minutes, I think there's a couple of rumors, but I really can't see Jesus being rested this week. There's also talk about how later on, a couple of days later in the midweek, game week 33 is a midweek game week. So basically, there are a couple of rumors saying that Jesus will be rested for that game, etc. But you got to think about it in the way I see it is, Arsenal are in the title race now. They need to win every single game, right? They already dropped points against West Ham. Will you be starting? Would you be comfortable to not play your first 11 against Southampton? Would you rather play your first 11 against Southampton and secure the win and then take a couple of players off to rest, or would you rather rest them from the start and then save them for the Man City game? Right, so the way I see it, I still think it. Of course, nobody knows for sure. We may get a couple of leaks later on. We'll see if we get a couple of leaks. But if there's any news that Jesus doesn't start, obviously we take him out, right? But I think for me, Jesus starts, right? And that's why I'm gonna go for him. Right. Let me move on to the chat a little bit quicker. I also want to take a look at some of you guys' free hit teams as well. Right. So let me put up a tweet on Twitter. For those of you who want me to take a look at your free hit drafts, send your teams to this tweet. Right. So I'm gonna put up a tweet now. Right. So basically I'm going to put up a tweet on Twitter, and for those of you guys who are watching the stream and you want your draft to be featured, right, basically just drop your teams down below this tweet. I'm going to spam this link in the chat. And then we can see a couple of you guys' free hit teams, right? I want to see the variation and how strong the template is basically. Right, so drop your drafts there for those of you guys who want me to take a look at your drafts. Right, we'll refresh this later on in a little bit. Right, but I'm gonna get back to the chat. So I've missed a couple of questions here. Jota versus Gakpo and why please? Definitely Gakpo. Expected minutes is definitely one of the reasons for Gakpo. Tony to Jesus for a -4, no free hit. If you didn't have a free hit, I guess you could say that taking Tony out is in the long term, right, what you would be wanting to do, right? Brentford's fixtures moving forward aren't the best. Question is Jesus a long term move though, right? If I take a look at Arsenal's fixtures, they still have a couple of tough fixtures before they go on a decent run, right? And there's not many games left. Would you want to put yourself in that spot? FPL Jelly says, what would you do if you get a leak that Jesus is benched? Right, so if Jesus is benched, I definitely go for Gabriel basically, right? I definitely go for Gabriel as my third defender, and then I probably bring in Ivan Toney as my third striker. That's probably what I'm gonna do. I probably wouldn't go for Odegaard. Right? I don't think I'll go triple Arsenal midfield. Right? In fact, you can actually I could actually play Eze as well, right? If Jesus doesn't start. But I probably would lean to going for Gabriel, so I'm tripled up on Arsenal still, and then yeah, I'll probably get Tony up front. Steven says, who are you playing at the back currently? Right, let me make my transfers so that you guys have a better picture. I'm pretty certain I'm gonna do it, right? So the transfer is to do Tony to Isak, right, for free. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it now, right? So I've already done it, and the way I am likely to line up after that is like this, and I will go, yeah, probably line up like this, right? So captain Salah, and then I'll line up like this. Right, John Stone, Trippier, Trent, Moreno, Gakpo, Martinelli, Saka, Salah, Watkins, Jesus, and Isak. I think the only difference between my team that I have here and the template is probably Isak and Moreno. Right, but the way I'm setting this team up, I'm really banking that Ivan Toney doesn't get a return. Right, so hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully. I mean, looking at the numbers that Aston Villa have been putting up, I think it's pretty alright. Right, I apologize for those of you guys who whose chats I'm gonna miss out on, because I'm gonna try and move on to Twitter in a bit. Right, I'm realizing that some of you guys have already sent in your team, so we're gonna take a look at them in a bit. I'll quickly go through the chat here. What do you think of Son/Kane as differentials? I think Spurs this week, I personally wouldn't go for them, right? I honestly favor Newcastle. Why is everyone ignoring Watkins as captain for Game Week 32? Easy, Salah. He's the reason why no one is talking about Watkins. Spaghetti and Bean says, who is the best attacker out of Solanke, Isak, and Tony? I have Isak, so I guess I'm favoring Isak to do well. Right, some of you guys have sent your teams in. I'm gonna take a look at it in a bit. Robertson plus Madison over Gakpo/Moreno. So I did consider a couple of differentials, right? The 8 mil bracket for midfielders, in particular, Madison and Bowen. I did consider those players, but I think their numbers, taking a look at them, I know Madison looked pretty good against Man City, right? He got a couple of good chances there. But the way I see it, their numbers haven't been that good, right, consistently. And of course, Leicester play Wolves, right? And Wolves defend pretty well, right? They haven't conceded a lot of goals in recent games. And for Bowen as well, I know West Ham scored a couple of goals against Ghent, right? And they did score 2 goals against Arsenal, of course. But Bowen, yeah, he got a goal in that game. But when I take a look at his numbers this season, he's not the same Bowen as the one that really scored a lot of points a couple of seasons ago. I think last season, right? More of the goals I feel would go through Antonio or Ings if he's playing, right? Benrahma also looks pretty lively. I think Bowen would really be a punt, right? So that's why I'm too keen on Bowen or Madison. All right. Let's take a look at the Twitter drafts. All right, it's time to move over. I know a lot of you guys have sent in your. All right, there's loads of teams. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at them. Right, so this is Arya's draft. Arya is a member on the channel. Right, for those of you guys who want to support the channel, you want to support my content, you can become a member as well, and we have a Discord for members as well. Right, so let's take a look at this team. Right, pretty small, but I'll read out the team. So it's Raya in goal, Trippier, Trent, Zuma, Robertson, Ward-Prowse, Odegaard, Saka, Andreas, Watkins, and Kane, right? And Captain Kane. So this is, I think, one of the drafts that you will see for people not on a free hit, because one look and I can tell this is not a free hit draft, right? So I guess Andreas is a pretty good differential, right? For this week, you also have double Liverpool defense, right? The only key player that I will say this draft is missing is Mo Salah, right? So if this is Arya's final team, right, I think Salah will be a big rank killer. And if there's a way to fit him in, right, which I think will be tough because you have Kane and Haaland, right, then I guess you really have to just start praying, right? Because I do think Salah will do well. Right? Hopefully your other players can match his returns as well, right? So let's take a look at other drafts. Right, this is a free hit draft from Yasin. Johnstone, Trent, Trippier, and Moreno. The midfield is pretty much standard except for Bowen. Up front, Jota is the differential. So I think there's going to be a couple of players that all of us are going to be in agreement that we should have. But there's also going to be some differentials that we think we could go either ways, right? That will depend on our gut feel or how we want to play our free hit. But in general, I would say Johnstone, Trippier, Trent, Salah, Saka, Martinelli, Jesus as well, or even Watkins. I think these players are players we can agree should be nailed in all drafts. So this draft is slightly different, I guess, because you're going with Jota ahead of Gakpo. You're also going Bowen in that fourth midfield spot. And also Moreno in the defense is also a differential, I feel. Right, so I think this draft you pretty much just going different in the slight 50-50s, right? But generally close to the template, and I think drafts like this are generally what we will see a lot of people have, right? So let me refresh right, FPL Bandito, Johnstone, Moreno, Robertson, Trent. Right, so this draft goes for Kane, and Trippier's on the bench. So basically, you think that Kane will get a return, right? You basically think that Spurs score, so you're not gonna play Trippier so that you don't block yourself. There's Johnstone. You're going for the triple Liverpool, double defense and Salah, right? So Robertson versus Gakpo, once again, that third. There's going to be very few things that we disagree on, right, as I mentioned. Right, so Robertson ahead of Gakpo, by all means, right. Moreno as well is fine. Eze in midfield, also a very good player. Jesus, Kane, and Watkins. Yeah, I think this is fine, right. The slight 50-50s, I think, is all right. Ramsey, my punt as a Villa fan, right? Ramsey is a pretty decent differential, right? I think he's been putting pretty good numbers, and I rate the player. I rate Ramsey. Right, I'll get to the chat in a bit. Let me quickly finish up some of the drafts. Ashmid is here. Johnstone, Mings. That's interesting. Um, Ben White as well, right? So it's a different kind of Arsenal triple up. Going for Son as well. Willian is a mega differential as well. I guess you would say this draft is slightly more differential than template drafts, right? Which could work, of course, right? Which could work. But you are only doubled up on Liverpool though. If you feel like that is enough, then by all means. But the way I would play it, I would still have triple Liverpool in my team. Right, a couple of you guys going for Jota as well, right? Omar here going for Jota as well. Callum with a double Newcastle defense. Now, double Newcastle defense is actually really high up the predicted points to speak, right? I did a video earlier on. A lot of people kind of laughed that Shah was in the team, but I went to take a look at his numbers, right? Shah's numbers are actually pretty good, right? Defensively, Newcastle are predicted to keep a clean sheet this game week. That's the first thing. They're pretty high up the odds. Secondly, Shah's numbers for involvement in the attack, right? Basically from set pieces or the shots he's taking, his numbers are actually really good. Really good, right? So I actually completely find the Shah pick justified. But I also understand for those of you guys who think Kane is going to score, he's fixture proof, etc. Right? I also understand where you guys are coming from, right? But I totally think this is fine, right? And I actually do like this team, right? I do like this team. Andre with Van Dijk, right? Van Dijk is also interesting. Madison as well is a pretty decent differential. All right, so let me get back to the chat. Right, for those of you guys who aren't who are watching still and you haven't liked the stream, please help me to like the stream and also please subscribe to the channel so that we can hit 5,000 subscribers. I think we can't do it anymore, but we'll still try. We'll still try. Right. Okay, let me get back to the chat, right? A couple of chats that I've missed. Who's better this week, Solanke or Isak? I prefer Isak this week. Hi mate, is it worth a -8 for Haaland, Madison, and Zinchenko to Solanke, Salah, and Trent? I wouldn't sell Haaland, right? I just wouldn't sell Haaland. I'd actually prefer selling Kane this week if I'm not at a free hit. Any other goalkeeper candidate apart from John Stone? Almost everyone is going for him. Realistically, the only other one I would consider is maybe Emi Martinez. Maybe. Jayski says, why Isak over Tony? I'm basically betting against Tony, right? And I know Brentford play pretty well at home, but I'm going to bank on the fact that Aston Villa are in good form, right? And hopefully they can keep a clean sheet there. Joseph says, if we get early news that Jesus is not playing and Trossard starts, do you think that would be one hell of a differential? 100%. 100%, because only those who are awake for the deadline can know, those who are awake for the deadline will know this news and basically can react to it. Right? Which I do feel is a little bit unfair, to be honest. I do feel it's a little unfair. Yeah, I mean, exactly, look at Jayski, right? Exactly, he lives in Australia. It's 1:20 a.m. There's a football match in the morning, but he doesn't want to sleep because he doesn't want to get screwed over by early team news that comes out when he's asleep. This is exactly why I think the system is still a little bit flawed, I feel. But I'm not too sure what's the best solution. Ashmit says, what would be Salah's effective ownership? Thinking to give the armband of Martinelli instead of Salah. Well, Salah's effective ownership is going to be through the roof. I can promise you that. Got Madison over Gakpo, Jota over Isak. Jota over going for Jota instead of Gakpo is already going different. But you can also argue that having Gakpo in your team is already different because those who aren't on a free hit are going to are not going to have Gakpo. Right, any team news? Not yet. Not yet. I doubt we get so early, right? It's still 2 hours before the deadline, so I honestly doubt that we get any team news now. Arya says, good thing is that no one got Salah so far in the league that I'm chasing. That is great then. That is great. Any chance Zinchenko starts tonight? I think it's unlikely. I think it's unlikely based on the latest news. Iheanacho as a punt definitely wouldn't go there. Callum says scroll to the first reply. Right, I'll take a look at it in a bit. Captain Saka or Salah? Definitely Salah. Definitely Salah. Is it worth to bring in Saka/Martinelli so that I don't need to play Botman? Already have Salah, Trent, not on a free hit this week, wildcard next week. I think you could take a chance on playing Botman, if I'm honest. But then again, Saka and Martinelli are players that could definitely haul this week. That's tough. I probably will take the hit, right? Because Arsenal players this week, they're gonna go crazy. No Tony, White over Jesus. I wouldn't go White over Jesus. Maybe Gabriel over Jesus. No Tony. Yeah, I've gone Isak over Tony. What do you think about dropping Jesus for Eze? Definitely not. The only player I would probably drop for Eze is that third forward spot. So Isak. That's the only one. Right, let me get to the... For those of you guys who still want your teams, want me to take a look at your teams, drop a comment on this tweet. Right, I've spammed it in the chat. See if we missed out on any drafts. Right. Johnstone, Trent. Right, this is a non-free hit team, I'm assuming, which is actually pretty close to a free hit. I think this is all right, man. This is decent if for considering you're not on a free hit. I like it. Yep. Let me just check if I'm missing any. All right, I think we've covered most of it, so get back to the chat here. What do you think about... Yeah, I answered that. What do you think, who do you think will score more points, Jota or Trent? I do like Trent, right? I do like Trent. I think Trent outscores Jota, if I'm honest. Jesus could have reduced minutes, maybe a 1-point cameo. I think Jesus starts. Right, so because of that, I think I'll still have him in my team. Eze or Andreas? Definitely Eze. Can I play both Kane and Trippier? How do I rate Kane/Trippier's latest form? I would just choose one, right? I wouldn't start both. I would just choose one, and then I would go with whichever one that I think the result goes. So basically, if you think that Newcastle will smash Spurs, you just go with Trippier. Or if you think like Kane gets a goal, then you go without Trippier and you play Kane. I wouldn't play both of them, right? Especially if you are free hitting. I think you have the space to just choose one and go with it. Chris says pick two from Bowen, Madison, Eze or Rodrigo. Eze for sure out of all of them, and then probably one of Bowen or Madison, right? Probably one of them. Bandito says, oh, right, I've answered that, right? David says Alex Moreno or Robertson. I mean, if you have Robertson in your team, you definitely start Robertson. Right, Liverpool triple up is definitely where I would go this week. Right, definitely have a Liverpool triple up. Alex Moreno, Gabriel or Robertson? I mean, in terms of points, I think Robertson. I see. In for Chilwell. Um, if it blocks your Liverpool triple up, then I don't really like Robertson though. I'll probably go Moreno just so I can do Trent, Gakpo, and Salah. Right. Um, I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna get back to my team, right? I'm gonna see how I feel about this. So Moreno, I'm basically betting against Tony scoring against Villa. I mean, with the form that Villa have been in, I actually really do back them. Right, 3-0 against Newcastle, 2-0 against Forest, 2-0 against Chelsea, right? 2-1 against Leicester, 3-0 against Bournemouth. They haven't been conceding a lot of goals. That's the thing, right? In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the last 8 games, they've conceded 2 goals. Right? That's why I'm pretty alright with playing Moreno, right? On top of the fact that he has a very good attacking threat as well. Right? So his ceiling is pretty high. And if I'm gonna play Moreno, I just bet against Tony and then I can just have a gamble here on this last spot and go for Isak. That is just my thinking behind this Isak pick, which I think I will stick with. So there's about 82% of you guys watching the stream that are on a free hit in Game Week 32. Alright, so I would assume that that a lot of the streams this week are gonna be on free hits, right? I mean, loads of the content has already been on free hit. David says, I have no Liverpool players at the moment. If you have no Liverpool players at the moment, I think then Robertson, right? If you can afford Trent, of course Trent, but if not, I think Robertson. Right, I think there's a couple of drafts that have been sent in again. So I'm gonna take a look at them and we'll see how the latest drafts look. Right, I think it's by K7 if I'm not wrong. Johnstone, Trent, Trippier, Castagna, standard midfield, standard attack. So Castagna is the only one. So I think similar situations, right, where the third defensive spot is where we can't really make a decision. The third forward spot as well. I think Watkins and Jesus, right, Watkins and Jesus probably locked in, right? But Tony and Castagna will probably be the ones that are the 50-50s in this team. Right, I think I covered most of the other drafts. All right. Benito says, what's your favorite Premier League team? Have you ever captained someone playing for the opponent? I support Chelsea, so it hasn't been that good. But in terms of FPL, right? I mean, thankfully Chelsea haven't reached the stage where you would actually want to captain someone against Chelsea. But if I were to be put to the point where I think against my team, the best captain plays against my team for that week, I think I would be fine to captain. I mean, the way I play FPL, I kind of separate it from the teams that I support. Right, FPL is just for me, the way I see it is to play the most optimal squad. Right, and if that is the case, then I guess needs must. Alright, I think this is pretty much what I have for this week. hopefully this team stays, right? Basically, if there's no team leaks that says that Jesus doesn't start, I think we could just go with this, right? I think I would be fine to go with this team. Just thinking about whether some changes I should make to the bench, but I think it's fine as well. Right? I don't think I would go for a Wolves a lesser defender, and yeah, I think the two other defenders are all right. Eze is also a very decent midfield replacement. So I think this is pretty much the team that I'm gonna go with. Right, Captain Salah, Vice Captain Martinelli, and yeah, we're gonna stick with this. Why Moreno and not Mings? Goal threat. Right, I just like Moreno's goal threat. I mean, Mings definitely has scored a couple of bangers recently, but right, he always somehow gets that assist, or the ball comes off him and he gets the assist, etc. But I do feel like the sustainability of attacking returns, though, I still think Moreno is the one that I would go for. Alright, I'm gonna leave it as that. Thank you guys for watching. I apologize for coming late again, right? Because there's so many technical issues that I've been having, but hopefully this stream was still alright. I'm gonna watch it back and hopefully it was alright. And yeah, thankfully the internet didn't die today, right? So for those of you on the Game Week 31 deadline stream, right, that one ended abruptly, but thankfully today's one is fine. And yeah, right, hopefully those of you guys who are on a free hit, you kind of nail your 50-50s. You have about an hour or so, right? So do kind of come to a decision soon enough. After this, I'll be chatting to the members in the Discord as well, right? So members, if you guys are watching, I will see you guys in the Discord right after this stream. And yeah, let's just take a look at some. All right, okay. Ashmit says, loved it, enjoyed it, goodbye. Right, goodbye to you guys as well. Right, so thank you guys for watching. Right, all the best for Game Week 32. And yeah, I'll see you guys in more content. The content is going to ramp up because 33 is a midweek deadline. 34 is also the deadline that comes out really soon after as well. Right, so there's loads of content going to be coming. I may not be able to stream in Game Week 33 or Game Week 34, but hopefully I'll get something sorted. If I can't, then I'll just put out the videos, right? But yeah, alright, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in more Game Week 33 content. Right, we are reaching the end of the season, right? So all the best to you guys, and yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. Bye bye.